Topic number 1. Conventional general cargo handling including cargo gear. Cargo handling equipment. Ship's gear. Components used in lifting and moving the cargo. There are three main categories of ship's gear: standing rigging, running rigging, and deck fittings. Standing rigging. Standing rigging is cordage which is fixed in position. Standing rigging is almost always between a mast and the deck, using tension to hold the mast firmly in place. Proper maintenance of standing rigging means replacing it before it fails. One of the fitting at the top. Small hairline cracks are visible in two places. The fitting at the bottom clearly shows the problems, and these cracks can lead to proper care and maintenance should apply to topping lifts, cargo runners, buoys and preventers, cargo blocks, topping lift blocks, and derrick heel fittings. Running rigging. It includes the moving part of the ship's gear. Major items of these are topping lift, booms, midship buoys, cargo runners, outboard buoys, and preventers. Deck fittings. Used to lead or secured standing and running rigging. It includes pad eye, chocks, cleats, and bits. The first is derrick. Lifting gear device for hoisting and lowering loads, having a derrick boom pivoted at its heel by gooseneck, and the head of which may be swung in a horizontal and vertical plane. They are used for general cargo ships to lift cargo on and off, and usually capable of lifting between 5 and 10 tons, but the ship may be fitted with one or more heavy lift derricks. And how to secure derricks? There are 4 ways to secure derricks at sea, namely topping the boom, cradling the boom, housing the boom, and spotting the boom. Each has different ways of securing the derrick. Number 1. On vessel rigged with single topping lift, the catheads are equipped with a fitting to which the ball rope can be made fast. When this fitting is available, the ball rope is secured to it, instead of the 5 turns being taken around the cathead. The stopper chain is not used. Instead, the topping lift is secured as follows. After the boom has been raised to the desired height, shackle the ball chain to the deck as shown in figure 3 to 11. Slack off the bull line slowly until the chain supports the weight of the boom. Remove the bull line from the cathead and coil it around the clip. It is only necessary to get the bull line of the deck and out of the way, since it does not support the topping lift unless the boom is being topped or lowered. And how to lower the booms? First is remove the bull line from the cleat and secure it to the fitting on the cathead. If available, make sure that the bull line is led through a snatch block to the cathead and not directly to the cathead. If there is no such fitting, take 5 turns around the cathead in the same direction as the cargo runner over the cathead. Raise the boom slightly to remove the weight from the bull chain and remove the shackle that secured the pull chain to the deck. And last is, lower the boom by depressing the control handle of the winch. And the 2 types of rigging derricks. One is, when the derrick is rigged to single swinging mode, the topping lift is secured to the required height and cannot be changed. Hence, the cargo will be loaded or discharged from only one area. Each time during the cargo work, the cargo operation is to be stopped to facilitate the loading or discharge operation from other part of the cargo hold. And the number 2 is that the runner wires of both derricks are coupled or married through swivels to a union hook and work in conjunction with each other. The preventer side, buoys are rigged so as not to obstruct the movement of cargo between the hatch and quay. Sometimes, the inner side buoys are replaced by schooner buoy who always remains clear of the cargo working area. And second is lifting equipment aboard. Use of slings, snutters, canvas slings, trays, pallets, nets, chain slings, cant hooks, bale hooks, and vehicle slings. Snutter is a rope or tackle used in sailing to tension the sprit on a sprit sail or a sprit boom on a sprit boomed sail by pulling the lower end towards the mast. It is also used in junk rig. Web slings are a good choice for load protection and are flexible and lightweight to use. Canvas slings. Canvas slings is a rope sling with a section of canvas sewn between the ropes. The main type of canvas sling is used in the dirt sling. In commercial practice, canvas slings is similar to the dirt slings and are used for handling cargo such as nitrate. Endless slings. Splicing the end of a piece of wire of fiber rope makes an endless sling. It is simple to handle and can be used in several different ways to lift load. And round slings have a high strength to weight ratio, which provides an extremely flexible and lightweight lifting sling with lower elongation. Pallet. It is a flat transport structure that supports goods in stable fashion while being lifted by a forklift. Forklift. Pallet jack, front loader, work saver, or other jack device or a crane. A cargo net type of net is usually square or rectangle, but sometimes round, made of thick rope with cinch ropes extending from the corners and in some designs the edges. It is named for its use in transferring cargo to and from ships. Chain slings. These slings are used mainly for handling steel rails, pipes, beams, and angles. Chain slings are used in bridles or single legs. Cargo handlers should use dunnage between the chain and the draft to prevent slipping. Bale hook used for securing and moving loads, and it consists of a round wooden handle with a strong metal hook about 8 long, projecting at a right angle from center of the handle. A vehicle spreader is made of length of hardwood, pipe, or steel beams. It permits to a straight pull on the sling and wheel nets. This keeps pressure away from the sides of vehicle to be hoisted. Cargo hooks, chains, fiber ropes, or wire rope can be tied directly to the load. However, for speed and convenience, it is much better to fasten a hook to the lifting line. Cargo hooks are shackled to the cargo runners for lifting and lowering drops of cargo. Shackles, anchor, anti-toppling, and chain shackles are the principal types of shackles. Round screw and safety pins are the principal types of shackle spin. Blocks and tackle. A block consists of one or more pulleys or sheaves fitted in a wood or metal frame, supportedly by shackle inserted in the strap of the block. And a tackle is an assembly blocks and lines used to gain a mechanical advantage in lifting and pulling. And kinds of derrick based on their patent system. Holland. The boom is connected with the lower part of the mast, which is shaped like a Y or a bipod, and therefore it is a single swinging derrick. The Vele derrick is quite similar to Holland, but without use of outriggers. On top of the boom is a T-shaped yoke assembled. Also here, the GUIs serve for topping and lowering the boom, but they are fastened on the yoke with 4 short steel wire hanger ropes. The patent Stalken derrick is used for very heavy cargo. It stems from the German shipyard H.C. Stalken and Son, which has been taken over later by neighbor yard Blon and Voss. The dairy can handle up to 300 tons. The safety needed? Yes, safety is needed. Safety precautions when handling crate. The number one is keep the load below safe working load value. The second is appropriate certificates. The third, only the right person should operate the equipment. Next is know the equipment, efficient lubrication, check the wires, use the securing clamp, check the weight of the load, check the anticipated path, check for cracks in the base, check proper lighting, and the last is ship's load distribution or load plan. Topic 2. Hatchwork. Hatch cover construction. Typically, hatch covers are lightweight steel grillages. Modern design methods using finite element technology enable more efficient material distribution, which results structure. Types of hatch cover. Folding type hatch cover consists of two flat type top panels which are operated via hydraulic arms. These may be fitted on both weather deck as well as twin deck. A major advantage in the design of folding type hatch covers is its large width size, which means a smaller number of panels. Rolling type hatch covers consist of two covers at the end of the hatchway. Wheels are fitted which help in the sliding of the panel either outward shift in case of side rolling or longitudinally in case of end rolling. This type of hatch cover are usually fitted on large ships. Hydraulic rams are required to raise them to rolling position as they are extremely heavy and have very large dimensions. Lifting type. Single panel cover consists of a single cover for each opening. This can be seen mainly on bulk carriers. Single panel cover consists of a single cover for each opening. This can be seen mainly on bulk carriers. Piggyback. Piggyback hatch covers are used on bulk carriers when the available deck space is insufficient to accommodate folding, side rolling, and to support the lifted panel on its back. High lift. The standard high lifter system consists of the four hydraulic cylinders. Reliable synchronization of the cylinders is achieved through a system of flow distribution control valve. Stacking cover type. This type of facility are used on ships having relatively smaller hatch cover. It consists of a hydraulically powered lifting crane facility, whose purpose is to lift the covers longitudinally and stack it together at one end or over any empty stowage tank. It is relatively cheap and is used mostly in barge. And we have the hatch cover inspection. Cargo hatch covers are important for the safety of the vessels, crew, and cargo. Ensuring weather-tight integrity while at sea is primary objective of hatch covers. Several reported casualties are related to the loss of weather-tight integrity due to the collapse of hatch cover, steel structures, or failure of securing and locking devices. Difference between watertight and weathertight. A watertight covers prevents the passage of water when exposed to the head of water. A typical head of water for a ship could range from 3 to 10 meters. And a weathertight is designed that it can be subject to the adverse weather conditions experienced offshore.
morning everyone, I'm here to discuss the topic 2, which is the cargo specific information. Cargo specific information. In loading and unloading cargo, we should interpret regarding the equipment operating and efficiency instruction, cargo lashing, and securing gear. The use of damaged pallet, shoring, and pre-slinging technique. Hold cleaning in the lesson safe working load or SWL. Number 1 is fundamental securing procedures. Shifting cargo presents hazards such as damage to the vessel or explosion. It is important that all precautions be taken to protect cargo from shock, fire, high temperature, moisture, or any hazards that could lead to a catastrophe. Securing is done to resist forces generated by vessel, response to sea conditions, and include various wooden structures. It also includes any traps, webs that are used to restrain cargo stowed in the holds and on the weather deck of the ship. The term blocking and bracing describe more specifically the securing process. Next one. Why is there a need for solid stow and securing of all cargoes? Cargo on board a ship will tend to shift in the motion of the ship. With the motion of the ship, this necessitates the cargo to be lashed, secured to the structure. The only way to prevent the lashing from working loose is to stow the cargo very close to each other, and short the cargo with timber. This would prevent the cargo from acquiring momentum while swaying with the ship and thus prevent to a large extent the working loose of the lashing. The next one is cargo securing arrangement. In cargo securing arrangement, the first one is blocking. Blocking is the act of attaching solid pieces, wood or blocks to deck, bulkhead, or overhead so that these pieces lean directly against the cargo. To prevent its movement, blocking must be very short, toned to be effective. Shoring and towing. Shoring, which includes blocking and bracing, is the process of securing the cargo from the side. Shoring may also be used to prevent the downward movement by supporting the cargo from below. Towing. Towing is securing of cargo to prevent upward movement. The next one is choking, the process of securing cargo inside the container. This includes strapping, damaging, or use air cushions to stabilize the cargo. Lashing is securing of the cargo for transportation with the goal of minimizing shifting items used for cables, wire, chains, and the net. Methods of securing cargo. Phases resulting from part discharge before making a sea passage. Number 1. Cargo shall be secured according to recognized principle, taking into account the dynamic forces that may occur during sea transport and the most severe weather conditions expected. Number 2. Prior to loading cargo, the following should be checked. Number 1. Relevant decks areas as far as practicable to be clean and dry and free from oil and grease. Cargo transport unit or vehicle to be suitable for transport. Necessary securing equipment is to be found on board. The securing equipment should be available in sufficient quantity, including suitable for processes of adequate strength, practical, and maintained. The required strength which depend on the lashing process can be calculated based on methods of evaluating process. Number 4. Securing operation shall be completed before the ship leaves. The berth and the securing should be based on proper planning, execution, and supervision. Number 5. Where practicable, cargo unit shall be provided with a cargo storage and securing declaration stating that the cargo has been properly shown and secured taken into account. The cargo securing manual for MS test vessel page 12 IMO/ILO guidelines for packing cargo freight containers or vehicles. Number 6. If the duty officer considers that a cargo is not safely secured to cargo unit, measures shall be taken to avoid shipping of the cargo. If adequate measures are not possible due to the lack of the nature of the cargo unit shall not be taken on board. Number 7. Securing arrangements shall be adequate to ensure that there will be no movement which endanger the ship. Slackening of the securing gear due to cargoes which have tendency to deform or to compact during voyage shall be avoided. The next one is the number 8, which is the cargo units containing hanging loads, chilled meat, floated gas, and very high cargo units are because of relatively high portion of the center of the gravity, particularly prone to tipping. Whenever possible, they should be located position of at least movement on the center line towards amidship and deck near the waterline. Number 9. Safety means of access to securing arrangements, safety equipment, and operational control shall be provided and properly maintained. Stairways and below the vehicle that shall keep clear the cargo space should, as far as practicable, regularly inspected during voyage. Number 10. Lashing shall not be released for unloading before the ship is secured at the berth without the master express permission. Number 11. Cargo shall not obstruct the operating controls of the stern doors, entrances, automation, or the firefighting equipment. Number 12 is dangerous goods shall be segregated, stoned, and secured according to the IMDG codes and valid instructions for the ship. Another topic is securing heavy loads and lifts. Heavy lifts items and project cargoes are often high value and great weight. They may have delicate parts that must not be contacted, and they may or may not be suitable for carriage on the deck, which will undoubtedly mean wetting by rain and seawater. They must be fitted with lifting Topic 2 or the part 2. The first one is the deck cargo. Cargo which are normally carried on deck include the following but are not limited to this, and many exceptional cargoes may be carried and also have been carried in the past. The cargo, whether on deck or under deck stow, has to be stowed well, and cargo should be prevented from moving and gaining enough momentum to part lashing and damage the ship structure. Deck cargo loading on top of hatch cover should carefully planned. All loading under the deck spaces should have been completed. Lashing may continue with portable lights. Dangerous cargo, IMDG cargo not permitted on deck. On deck, large packages which, due to any size restriction, may have to be loaded on the deck. The above includes engineering and construction equipment. All size package, yacht, luxury boats, occasionally livestock in limited numbers. Where the bulk volume far exceeds the weight of the cargo, knockdown bridge port equipment not easily liable to weather damage. Onions and other perishables, short voyage with the weather holding, cast iron goods, manhole covers, pipes. The hatch cover should be closed and battened down, all side wedges as well as cross wedge. Center wedge should have been pitted. The perishable load density of the hatch cover should be checked, and timbers laid spread the weight of the cargo. The height of the cargo and the hatch cover as well as the deck on the deck should not be high that the view is obstructed from the navigating bridge. The weight of the ice may be excels of 100 tons, thus the danger of the ship regarding stability. In according to the closed stow, the difficult on GC vessels where container is usually loaded between hatch coaming and the bulwark, so the container should be loaded as close as possible to the hatch coaming, as well as close to the mast house. The load is spread by having container loaded onto timbers at least 4x4. The timber should be extended to well beyond the shoe of the container in direction to spread the load. To prevent container being bodily shifted out of the lashing or continue to stop shows, we should use hatch coaming. The next one is the stowage and lashing of timber deck cargoes as laid down by IMO Code of Safe Practice for ship carrying timber deck cargoes. The purpose of the code is to make recommendation on stowage, securing, and other operational safety measures designed to ensure the safety transport of mainly timber deck cargoes. This code applies to all ships of 24 meter or more in length engaged in the carriage of timber deck cargoes. Ships that are provided with and making use their timber load line should comply with the requirements of the applicable regulation of the Load Line Convention. Timber load line. A special load line assigned to the ship complying with the certain conditions related to their construction, set out in the International Convention on Load Lines, and used when the cargo complies with the stowage and securing condition of this code. Weather means the uppermost complete deck exposed to weather and sea. The stability of the ship. including during the process of loading and unloading timber the cargo, should be positive and standards acceptable to the administration. It should be calculated in regard to the increase of weight of the timber deck due to absorption of water in dried or seasoned timber, and ice acceleration if applicable. Variation in consumables, the pre-surface effect of liquid in tanks, and weight of water trapped in brown spaces within the timber deck cargo and specially logs. Safety precautions to be taken as far as stability of the ship is concerned. The master should cease all loading operation if a lease development for which there is no satisfactory explanation, and it would be imprudent to continue loading. Before proceeding to sea, ensure that the ship is upright, the ship has adequate metacentric height, and the ship meets the required stability criteria. Container cargo. Sea containers were invented in mid-1950s by Malcolm McLean. McLean developed sealed truck trailers and concept of loading and unloading the trailer interiors only at the points of origin and destination. The first ship modified to accept these containers on the deck sailed with 58 of them from New York to Houston in April 1956. This was the start of McLean's company, the Sealand Corporation. Containers comes in two basic sizes, 20-footer and 40-footer, and are commonly known as TEU 20 equivalence unit and FEU 40 equivalence unit. The external body of the container is made of corrugated sheet metal and is not applicable of taking any load. The four corners have shoes and straightened to take the load. Lashing of containers on proposed ships are supplied from reputed lashing makers and have been tested for loads they are to lash. Various fittings and use, and all of these are generally carried on board. These containers are loaded on the container ship in a specified manner. The ship is divided into bays or rows. Cell guide on deck open concept. Some containers are designed to carry refrigerated cargo. These special containers have their own cooling plant inbuilt on one end of the container, and all of that is required to the ship to provide the power point of the electricity. Today, a variety of cargo which is previously was thought could only be loaded onto general cargo is transported on container ship. An example is a tank, that's small parcels of liquid carried on container ship. The planning of loading of a cargo ship is normally undertaken as a, but the officer in charge of the watch should keep an eye on the loading to detect errors and stock which may occur. A particularly watch should be kept for containers with dangerous goods placed to see that the stowage satisfies segregation requirements as laid down in IMDG code. That's the part 2 of the topic number 3. Thank you.
So, good morning guys. I'm here to report the topic 4, which is the biocargo. First of all, in the biocargo, the International Convention for Safety of
Life at Sea, 1974, or the SOLAS Convention, as amended, deals with various aspects of maritime safety and contains in Chapter 4 the mandatory provision governing the carriage of solid bar cargoes. These provisions are extended to the International Maritime Solid Bar Cargoes or IMSBC code. The primary aim of the International Maritime Bulk Cargoes Code or IMSBC code, which replaces the Code of Safety Practices for Solid Bar Cargoes, is facilitate the safe stowage and shipment of solid bar cargoes by providing information on the dangers associated with the shipment of certain types of solid bar cargoes and instruction on the procedures and adopted when shipment of solid bar cargo is contemplated. The IMSBC code was adopted on December 4, 2008 by resolution of MSC 268-85 and entered force on 1 January 2011, from which date it was made mandatory under the provision of SOLAS Convention since the code has been amended by resolution. The Maritime Safety Committee or MSC is the authorized by IMO Assembly to adopt the amendment the code, thus enabling the IMO to respond promptly to the developments in transport. Here are the angle of repose. The maximum slope angle of non-cohesive granular material. It is measured as the angle between a horizontal plane and the cone slope of the material. Cargoes that may liquefy. Cargoes that contain a proportion of fine particles and certain amount of moisture. They may liquefy if the ship with a moisture content excess of their transportable moisture limit. The next one is the flow state. A state of occurring when a mass and the granular material is saturated with liquid to an extent that under the influence prevailing external forces such as vibration, impaction, or ship motion, it loses its internal shear strength, behaves as a liquid. The next one is the transportable moisture limit. The maximum moisture content of cargo which is considered safety carriage in ships. The next one is the bulker ventilation. Moisture damage is the source of significant number of cargo claims. Claimants allege that this is brought by the ship's failure to ventilate correctly, resulting in the development of condensation, known as sweat. This can lead to deterioration of number of bulk cargoes such as grain, sea cake, and all modern bulk carriers are fitted with some form of ventilation, either natural or mechanical. Types of sweat. Number 1 is cargo sweat. Refers to the condensation which form on exposed surface of stove, consequence of large amount of warm moist air being persistently introduced into a hole containing colder cargo. The next one is the ship sweat. It refers to a condensation which formed directly on the vessel structure when the air within the hold made warm and moisture of the cargo comes into contact with cold surface as the vessel moves into a colder climate. Cargo may be damaged by overhead drips by contact with sweat which has formed into the ship sides. The next one is the influencing factors. Number 1 is saturation. The amount of water vapor that air may contain is highly dependent on its temperature. A given volume of air is said to be saturated when no more water can be absorbed. If the air temperature then falls, condensation will occur as the air rises in temperature, so thus its saturation molecules content its capacity to retain water climbs by ever-increasing amounts. Relative humidity is the actual amount of the water vapor in the air compared with the saturation amount of water vapor. At the same temperature and pressure, the figure is usually expressed as a percentage, with saturated air having a relatively humidity of 100% at the main deck level. A buoyancy over air over the open oceans will normally have a relative humidity in excess of 80%. Control of switch. In ventilation, you should use the 3-degree rule. And further observation, combined cargoes. Combined cargoes. Problem may arise if hygroscopic and non-hygroscopic cargoes with different inherent temperatures are loaded into the same compartment. Their ventilation requires may differ, resulting in damage to one or other of the products in spite of normal routines being allowed. As far as possible, hygroscopic and non-hygroscopic cargo should not be bestowed together. Refrigerated cargo. Frozen cargo, meat, butlers, poultry, and fish. 80 Celsius to 120 degree. Chilled cargo, cheese. -2 to 60 Celsius. Air cargo. Preparation of cargo hold. The compartment must clean and dry and free of any odor or taint. It must be deodorized with mild agents, lime, ozone, something like that. Bilge to clean, dry, deodorize, and suction check. The insulation and permanent damage to the check and repaired as necessary. Scalpers to be cleaned. Brine traps to be checked, tested, and refilled. Thermometers to be positioned, ventilator plugs in position, and tightly wedged. Pre-cooling of the compartment. Please always remember that precautions during loading. General guidance for reefer cargo temperature recording. Reefer containers require special care after they loaded on board ship. These containers need to be supplied with power, monitored closely for a proper function as referred as maximum in case of malfunction. The article here is about the procedure and guidelines of the reefer cargo temperature recording. A ship is said to be healed when she is inclined by an external force. For example, when the ship is inclined by the action of the waves or wind, that's the heel. Next one is the list. A ship is said to be listed when she is inclined by forces within the ship. For example, shifting of the cargo. Solid bar cargoes can shift by sliding and liquefying and fluids by the factor involved in each other. These processes may be different. The potential disastrous consequences are the same: twisting or capsizing, structural damage. Shifting cargo can have numerous consequences. The shift in the cargo will cause a loss if the cargo does not return to its original position, with subsequent vessel movement. Liquefaction of solid bulk cargoes depends on particle size and distribution. Next one is what is grain. Grain is covered wheat, maize, oats, rye, berry rice, pulses, seeds, and process thereof, whose behavior is similar of that grain in its natural state. In prepare of grain cargo holds, there are some issues to be considered, and while in cleaning we should follow a certain criteria. Cargo hold cargo reside of cement sticking all over. Cargo reside stock hard behind shell frames. This is the criteria. Broads for pipes where cargo usually accommodate cargo residues sticking to the plane, the areas under cross decks where the planes, solid plates guards of pipes passing through holes, cargo residue remains in the loose rust plates and glitters on hull backheads, widespread rust scales on side frames which come off perfectly painted surface, rust plating and loose on pipes. Hold entrance body hatch accessible condition, man entry body hatch entrance and its grass and that's the criteria. We should also follow the hold cleaning best practices and before loading. Hospital clean. Hospital clean is the most extreme effort, requiring the holds to hold 100% intact paint coating on all surfaces, including the tank top, all other rungs, and undersides of the chest. The standard of hospital clean is requirement for only few certain grain, cargoes, and trades. For example, rice in the bulk, something like that. Also, we should consider the average moisture content. Consider appointing a surveyor. During loading, continuous visual inspection. Once loading, there should be continuous visual inspection looking out for something like good color of the cargo, showing apparent good condition, change of color, unusual odors, and many more. After loading, cargo temperature taken at time of loading. During voyage, fumigation of the cargo at load part. And during voyage, degazing and checking the results at the discharge part. Ventilation should follow the 3-degree rule. Trimming. The last one is trim. Spout trim, whereby the loading spout and chute is moved across whole mechanical cargo trimming self-trimmers. It is the method used self-trimmers. Under the weather decks of modern bulk carriers have angled upper wing tank that can be used to trim cargo in just a way of how them can be fill the ship. Field compartment trim. Any cargo space in which after loading and trimming the bulk cargo grain in its highest possible level. Field compartment and trim. Any cargo space in which filled the maximum extent possible way of the hatch but has not been trimmed outside the preferred opening either by provision of grain code. Partly filled compartment. Any cargo space wherein the bulk grain is not loaded in the manner prescribed in grain code. That's the last one to discuss in this topic number 4, bulk cargo. Thank you.
Segregation and separation of cargos. Topic number 5. Segregation of different cargos with reference of dangerous goods. If more than one class of dangerous goods is carried on board, they either required a proper separation of cannot be slowed together in the same component depending on the class of nature of goods, and they have to be good segregated using the IMDG code segregation table. Cargo needs to be separated: dry cargos, wet cargos, and clean cargo, dirty cargo, and dedicated cargo. And there are examples of dry cargos. Number 1, coffee. Required plenty ventilation and sustainable of damage from strong smelling goods. Cofra. Dry coconut flesh to be heat and sustainous combustion. It could be tainted by other cargos and oxygen deficiency and compartment. And based on my own understanding, cargo documents is before they load or proceed on the ship or vessel in the cargo, they have so many requirements to pass, like bill of landing. A bill of landing is indicate of particular carried through which the goods have been a place for the final destination and condition and destination for transporting shipment and the final destination of land and ocean are air and the means used by bills of landing. Cargo documents. Cargo plan. A ship cargo plan shows the distribution of well and disappointation of proceeds of cargo aboard on vessel. The plan is formulated usually by workbooks or dock officers, and copy being procedured their departure fare with copy being procedure. This allowed copies and plan to be made before the plan in the port's discharge to allow the booking and reservation of labor and appropriate. I will explain topic number 6, cargo damage. Based on my own learning in Sir de Maculangan, she said that there are so many type of cargo damage, like the physical damage. And physical damage is when the cargo is damaged due to the dropping, rolling, and breakage being knocked during the transit. The main cause physical damage is bad stowage inside the container. Resulting damage bad stowage includes incorrect, improper, and insufficient lashing, using enough damage of checking by lashing materials in incorrect weight, and distribution of improper loading and affecting of stability in the cargo. And based on the picture, there are so many types of bad stowage, like the not proper lashing of putting the cargo in the inside of container. And I see on the PPT is wet damage, where the inside of the box is alcohol, drinking, etc. And do the rolling of the ship, the result is not putting the proper lashing, so it caused broken glasses, the they went to broke the box, and contamination damage is damage to cargo when it has been impaired through to pollution, etc., which renders inactionable for human consumption or other industrial or operational usage. There are numerous ways in another community can contaminate a cargo by inadequate cleaning after previous cargo, by improper storage before shipment, and consequent imposure of contaminant by poor separation by another commodity in the same cargo space. And the inflation of damage is like when the other cargos is caused by presence large number insects of animals, especially rodents. Cargo such as type damage can also lead to contamination damage, making a product unsustainable by end user. Measure to prevent cargo damage. Ensure that compatible products are not mixed in the container, mixing or clothing chemicals. It said when the drinking is for drinking, when the clothing is for clothing, they must, the other cargos is not separate, so to avoid damage. And the other one is use the correct type of container for shipping respective products. Heavy cargo needs a container designed to carry items.
Topic number 7. Cargo space inspection. Cargo space intended to be used for loading should be inspected to ensure that the compartment intended loaded with cargo is clean, dry, and ready to receive to the cargo offered. Also tank-free, no visible loose rust which all cause contamination. Cargo specs is intended used for loading should be inspected to ensure that the compartment intended with loaded with cargo is clean, dry, and ready to receive the being offered. Also inspection to holds need to avoid contamination. No residue to previous cargo to be left. Holds are the tank-free. No visible loose rust which cause contamination. Safety. Holds are safety distributors work. Detect a physical damage within the hold. It's also benefit with a rising new distributor damage claim. Damage of the ship structure, checking corrosion, cracks or early warning for parts position, strengthening structure and repaired. Prevent cargo damage, which can cause of operational bilge, ballast lines, or lack of watertight integrity hatch cover. Part safety. Identification of hazard for intended cargo and ability of firefighting equipment. So now we know why it is important. Let us see what all need to inspect. Items to be inspected. Check the designated compartment and clean and ready received to the cargo. Holds properly swept, cleaned, and previous cargo residue. Loose rust, scale loose, paint removed. Holds free from all stain. Depending upon character, charterer requirement, holds effectively washed, rinsed, and dried. Number 2. Check that the drainage and the bilge construction work effectively and that the bilge are dry bilge. To be sweetened for some particular cargoes and covered with burlap and cemented. No leakage ballast tank present. Sounding pipes and air pipe passing from holds clean and rust-free. Ensure that the cargo buttons were not damaged. Check the hatch lighting in order slot and the post fire hazard are intended. Inspect instruments access to compartment safe. Guardrail safety barriers should be seen in the place. Ensure the necessary fixed fighting agreements ready to immediate. Use blow CO2 halon lines with compressed air. Inspect cargo hold ventilation system. Inspect to ensure covers and watertight that all securing devices are in good working condition. If the cargo hold meant to heavy weather, ballast and pressure test line leakage. And thus subsequently blank that the ballast lines. Double bottom tank manhole covers obsoletely tight. Cargo securing points, fixed fitting, etc. good condition. So once of the hold inspected, to proceed to prepare for hold loading. Hold preparation. As per charter party as the contact of carriage, the owner required to make the holds, refrigerating and cooling chambers of all other parts ship where goods carried if and the safe reception and prevention. The owners required to present vessel that state this is the ready load cargo to means holds clean dry prior and cement uploading owner falls in percent. His ship proper state service the claim amounting some money. This is therefore important to the cargo holds uploading. Cargo quality affected due contamination, staining, water contact, inadequate ventilation. To avoid contamination, contact cargo is better inspect the hatch, cover bilge situation. Contamination, water contact, inadequate ventilation as can occur the poor damages to the hull. So this is the meaning of topic 7 for cargo space inspection that show what is the meaning of this topic. Topic 8. Ballast tank inspection. They need to inspect once a ballast tank for general integrity corrosion status as well as the monitoring of the anodes within the ballast. Usually, the inspection of the ballast required to 3-4 men with extensive safety equipment such as gas oxygen monitoring, detector, and flashlight harness. Like I say, in a ballast tank inspection, required the internal inspection of a ballast tank of one of its container ship. The CMA, CGM, Andromeda flying complex at the pitch dark confined space Elias has a demonstrate this capacity to deliver quicker and safer method to ballast tank inspection. And the CMA, like a customer needed to require an inspection for one of container ship, the CMA and CGM Andromeda in a 323 meter vessel, they need to inspect one ballast tank for general integrity, corrosion status throughout the monitoring of the anodes within the ballast. The ballast was 15 meters long and 12 meters deep to manhole. It's located to the top of the ballast to serve the entry points, and the ballast was divided in 2 floors within 3 sections each floor. The sections were connected by manholes within dimension of 600 meters by 400 meters, usually inspection of the ballast. Required to the 3-4 and extensive safety equipment such as gas oxygen monitoring detectors, rope, flashlight, and harness. The solution and process is 3 flashlights of 10 minutes each with a single pilot were carried out of the inspection. Of one tank, all flights were performed and then entirely from above the ballast with the pilot. Controlling areas beyond the beyond line of sight lost the robot collision tolerance allowed to negative safety. It contact with the structure, rolling wall required to onboard, led allowed to performing the inspection of external lighting. Result that 2 ballast tank while the corrosion monitoring anodes were inspected in less than 2 hours from deployment. The general integrity of the tank well has the state of anodes were assessed as satisfactory within a 25 similar ballast tank per vessel to fit several hundred vessels. Sustainable increased worker and safety efficiency of inspection are achievable within LU's mission. Thank you.